Hi, everyone. Welcome to our latest edition of Pro Mentor Instagram Live. My name is Dayon, and tonight I will be joined by special guest James Jones from Major League Baseball's Texas Rangers. James is also our player relations manager in the baseball division at Pro Mentor as well. Our IG Live is brought to you by Pro Mentor. The Pro Mentor app allows you to schedule live video calls with current pro athletes like James, who are here to help you work on any area of your game that you would like to improve on. Whether you are a player, parent, manager, or coach, there is an opportunity to learn from the game's elite. As we wait for James to join us here for the chat, I would like to always remind you, if you have questions for James sometime throughout tonight's program, feel free to comment below. How you doing, James?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing really well, man. How's your Sunday going?
It's going well. A lot of football going on right now.
Same here. I got to watch my Brownies improve to 3-1, so I'm in a pretty good mood, and I get to talk to you now too.
For sure. We were both in a good mood because my Giants they took a game away from the Saints, so we're good about that.
They're in OT, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Saquon looking like he's back to normal.
There you go. I like to hear that as well. Well, again, thank you for joining us. Want to get right into it because we have a lot to talk about tonight, and we're going to start from the beginning like always. We would love to hear about your background. Know you were born in Brooklyn, New York, but would love to hear about, again, the home life, upbringing, youth baseball experience, anything like that.
Got you. Yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. Baseball isn't really like the big thing over there. I mean, you got to deal with the cold winters and stuff like that. But I ended up playing baseball because one of my classmates invited me to travel baseball try, and it just so happened I got a couple batting gloves and a baseball glove that Christmas. Started playing at 7, and it just went from there. I played with 2 teams. There was one called the Bonnies. I played up until I was about 11, and then youth service. I played with them for the rest of the way until I got drafted.
Very cool. And, when you were growing up, what positions did you like to play? What did you gravitate towards? What made you fall in love with the game?
Oh, man. I mean, the biggest thing was just I just love running out there. I was always one of the people that was just really hyper. I was the energy guy on the team. But the big thing was just like being with my friends out there. It was that was the funnest part for me. But I pitched. I played a lot of first base, which is kind of weird to some people, and I played outfield once I got a little bit older, once I got near high school.
Very cool. Awesome. Growing up, any particular memories stick out to you that you were like, yeah, I want to do this for good. Like, this is something I want to dedicate my life to. I want to work really hard and try to get to the highest level.
I mean, there was a couple. I remember the first time we made it to Travel Ball Team World Series, and we fundraised and actually got like a team bus to drive all the way to Oklahoma from Brooklyn. And that trip I'll never
Very
forget.
cool.
Just spending time with the guys, playing against some of the top competition all over the world. I mean, all over the states. And after that, I would say it was when in our travel ball team for youth service, Pedro Beato and Della Betances, they got drafted, and that was such a big deal for all of us. So once I saw that, man, I felt like it was right there in reach, and I just wanted to follow that path.
Very cool. And when you say travel ball, are we talking this is Little League? Is this the next level up? Like, where were you playing before you got to Long Island University?
I was just playing with the youth service team. They have little league teams. It develops into right around once you get around 11 years old. That's when we call it travel ball because that's when you start going state to state for some tournaments. But little league, that's when we just stay local.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. And, like I mentioned, you went to Long Island University. So I'm going to go, through your path to the pros a little bit here. A lot to dig into here. So if you give me a second, and then I want to dive into all this with you. Attended Long Island University, where you played both outfield and pitcher. Then you were drafted by the Seattle Mariners in the 4th round of the 2009 Major League Baseball draft. Began your professional career in 2009 with the Everett Aqua Sox. In 2010, assigned to Class A Clinton Lumber Kings. In 2014, called up to the Mariners and made your Major League debut on April 18th against the Miami Marlins. And then in 2015 is where you are today with the Texas Rangers. You were traded and you played for the Round Rock Express. So a lot of stuff. That's 4 or 5 years of different teams. Kind of walk me through your thought process and mental state as you're making your way through, again, being drafted, being traded, going through the different divisions of classes in baseball. Where were you at with all that?
It was a big learning curve. But prior to that, I think what prepped me a lot was I played in the Northwoods League, which was my sophomore, going into my junior year. And they had the motto of modeling their schedule over like a minor league schedule. And literally I want to say we played 60 games in like 64 days. Like that was
Wow.
like the motto. And being able to experience that was definitely helped me so much, I got drafted the next year, and it was nuts. I mean, we was with a host family, getting to know some of the guys. You're playing against the best. I mean, I was so used to being probably one of the top three guys on my team, but everyone that was there, like the talent was more equal than I ever been around. But other than that, it was a grind. I mean, 2010 is when like you said, I was played with my first full season team, Clinton Lumber Kings, and that was just a whole adjustment because we had to find our own apartments and, and stuff I didn't even realize we had to get going. But it was something that really it grew me up really fast. And then as I just kept going year by year, surrounded by some good coaches, I progressed and finally got that call to the big leagues, which was something I'll never forget. It was such an honor. It was a lot of adrenaline going on too. I don't even remember the first pitch. Like it was a strike against me, but I don't even know where it's at. But other than that, I mean, it's just been so many different learning curves through every year, all the way up until now, and getting traded. But I'm with Texas Round. I love the organization, and just want to keep going with it.
That's awesome. And I got a two-part follow-up question. Same thing, but different scenario. Take us through the moment you found out you got drafted, and then take us through the moment when you found out you were getting called up to the big leagues.
Uh, Getting drafted, I was at my travel ball coach's house, Mel Zitter. We were just tracking it online. We were just hitting the refresh button all the time. Um, I got the call from the Seattle Mariners. David May was the guy that called me. Uh, Told me they want me to start off as an outfielder, even though they knew I pitched, and I was pretty excited about that because I wanted to hit. But other than that, leading towards that, getting the call up for the big leagues, I was home. We had a home game. I was in AAA with Tacoma Rainiers, and Roy Howell gave me a call. He was just like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was just like, I'm just relaxing. So you need to get to the field right now. He said, your
Wow.
flight is in like 4 hours. And I was like, what do you got? He said, you just got called up. And literally, like, I don't even know what happened. I dropped everything. I put my bag together. And by the time I got to the field, all my stuff was packed. And then they just threw me in a taxi to get to the airport.
Wow. So it really does happen that fast. You get that call and you're on a flight a couple hours later, right?
Yeah, a couple hours late. I mean, most of the time, that's how it goes. I was literally in uniform the next day.
Wow. Wow. That's very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. You,
Yeah.
you hear, things in the media and you read stuff on Twitter, but, hearing it from the source, it's pretty crazy. It's, like you said, within 24 hours, you're in uniform and playing in a major league game, when you were sitting at home the day before. That's wild.
For sure. It is crazy.
So, James, obviously you work with us here at Pro Mentor and are available for lessons in our app and things of that nature. And the one thing that I really wanted to talk to you tonight about is your mentality of how to deal with injuries and rehabilitation. You've had a couple of injuries yourself, and you are definitely someone that we look up to in terms of giving advice and mentorship to the youth of how to deal with these situations. So I just wanted to kind of open the door for you in that spectrum so you could talk a little bit about how you deal with those kind of situations.
Um, it was really hard. I'm not gonna lie. Dealing with injury, you question a lot of things. You question if you're ever gonna feel normal again, and that's some of the things that's normal. I would say don't fight those thoughts. You will have doubts. You will feel down throughout it at points of times when you feel like you're not progressing. But the one thing that just kept me focused is just focus on the rehab, the protocol they give you. And there's just a lot of things that you could help with your recovery. You know, of course, hydrating, getting good sleep, doing the things you can control. And without a doubt, you have these professionals around you that have seen numerous amounts of these injuries. It's, you know, trust the people that's doing these rehab with you, communicate, and honestly, it's one day at a time. I'll say that's the biggest thing. And know that our bodies are amazing. They heal themselves. And with the
Right.
professionals that we have, they're going to set you up. So it's more of just checking each day off and just staying positive and surrounding yourself with people that encourage you. So that's big for me.
No, that's very cool. Is there a particular doctor, trainer, etc., that you would give credit to that like was the light bulb moment for you that like, hey, this is what the process is, and I finally understand this is a day by day thing, and I got to be patient, and I got to trust my body to, like you said, heal itself. Is there something like that, or a moment, throughout your rehabilitation process that sticks out to you?
Uh, what stuck out to me was when I was coming back from Tommy John surgery. I was one of the guys that didn't get their flexibility back right away. I was quote unquote not on time, which was pretty scary for me. A lot of guys, they could straighten their arm completely, touch their shoulders, and I still didn't have it. And I was doing a lot. I was forcing it. I was trying to force that progression. And one of the medical coordinators came up to me and was just like, "Hey, you just need to relax. You're doing too much." Like, we've seen this before. Yes, you're the only guy in this organization that's having trouble with range of motion, but you just need to trust it and let it just stop doing all the things that you're doing. Because I was doing extra. I was holding weights. I was trying to push on it. And sure enough, when I stopped, I kid you not, probably within 2 to 3 weeks, the range of motion like increased big time. So I would say it's just one of those things where you just got to be patient. That's the key throughout all rehab. When you're patient, it allows room for more growth.
No doubt, I couldn't agree more. That's excellent. And you know, staying on the pro mentor path here and just kind of doubling down on the conversation, when pro mentor approached you about being part of the corporation and working for them, what were some of the things that made you excited to join the company and want to work with youth and pass on your knowledge to the young amateurs that are following you today?
I would say one. So literally, probably a year, maybe a year or two before hearing anything about Pro Mentor, I figured out my life mission, which is to create momentum in people's lives so they could thrive in any circumstance. And I stuck with that ever since. And when I heard the mission of Pro Mentor, how they want to impact the next generation, uh, it just lined up to exactly what I wanted to do. And that's something I definitely want to pass along to the next generation. I know I have a lot of wisdom and experience that could definitely help a lot of kids just growing up through their respective sport. So that was the biggest thing. My mission lined up with pro mentors, and I'm happy to be a part of this team.
Absolutely. And anyone I talk to in particular, just myself and the circles I run with, every time you talk about this app with somebody, you can see their eyes light up and they're like, wow, this is an unbelievable idea. And what an opportunity for these kids, to work with pros and mentors, right? But at the same opportunity or the same conversation, what an opportunity for the pros to pass down their knowledge as well. So it's just an unbelievable idea in app. And I'm just, I couldn't agree more with everything that you said. Moving on to your, personal mentors, anyone in particular stick out to you that you've had on and off the field as an individual who has given you guidance or leadership that has brought you to this point?
I mean, I'd say it's a whole village of guys, but I can name a couple. Starting travel ball team, Ernie and Chris Cruz. They were known to be like the hard coaches. We ran for everything. They counted the amount of balls before practice, and then anyone was missing after that, we were running for each one that was missing. They taught me just that hard work, being confident. That came from them. Then it was Mel Zitter. That was my next coach with that travel ball team. He had a lot of connections with with MLB, and he was another guy that held us to a high standard. Um, and then once I got into, pro ball, a couple of people from my local church, Craig Holiday and Alex Burgos, they're the ones that just keep me in line, challenge me to not only strive to be excellent on the field, but excellent off the field and be a man that could impact whatever community he's in. And then recently is Josiah. He was out with Texas Rangers. He was our peak performance coach for a couple years, and just his drive, his intent, and the way he challenges me, it was something that really stuck with me, and it's sprouting right now.
Very cool. Staying on that path again, best advice you've ever received from a mentor?
I would say it's from Josiah. I heard this story from him. He talked about a bamboo tree, and he said a bamboo tree doesn't break ground for 5 years. Like you're watering it for at least 5 years. And once it breaks ground and starts growing through, it could grow up to 90 feet within 5 weeks after that. And just that analogy made me realize I see a lot of like elite athletes out there, and I want to be like them. I want to get there right now. But every elite athlete out there, they've done so much to get to the point where they're at now. And we may seem like, oh, he's like a overnight sensation, but that person put in so much work we did not see. And when I hear that bamboo tree, it makes me become more patient with myself, trust my system that I created to develop as a player, and move forward. That was the biggest thing that I'll never forget.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think so many of today's youth think the path to pro is A to Z, straight and narrow. But the reality is, right, it's a zigzag, up and down, good news, bad news. It is not a straight line, to where you want to go. And, dealing with that adversity and however straight or narrow or sideways that line is really important, right? And I really like that bamboo analogy. That's something I'm definitely going to use with my team, because I couldn't agree more. You gotta respect the process, right? There's a lot of things that have to happen and a lot of work that's got to get put in before you realize the success.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree with you.
And then one piece of advice that you could have told your younger self.
It may sound weird, but I would say stop trying to be perfect. When I aim for perfection, there was a lot of peaks and valleys. But when I focused on progress, even if it's the smallest thing, over time that builds up. For some reason, with my mindset, when I start trying to be perfect, it's, as we all know, it's hard. It's hard to be perfect. I mean, you're not going to do it right every single time. And when you fall short of that, I was really hard on myself with that. It was something I really battled all the way, I would say, up until a couple of years ago for me to realize that. So I would definitely tell my younger self, aim for progress, not for perfection.
Yeah, I love that. I actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I read a really interesting Kobe Bryant story the other day where he talked about the reality of chasing perfection, even though he never would achieve it. He knew perfection was impossible, but he did everything he could to try to get to the furthest point towards perfection, even though it was never going to happen. And the way he worded all that was just kind of mind blowing to me, because, I think we're all pretty realistic that, like you said, perfection is not going to happen, but actually chasing it to see how far you can push yourself is truly inspiring, and something that I, again, a light bulb moment for me when I read that.
Yeah, for sure. Kobe Bryant always has all the gems. I listen to so many of his YouTube clips. The consistency is just the big thing. Like, he just doesn't let up, and that's why he was the player he was, man. And he brought people up to his level too, which I really liked about it.
Right. No. Yeah. Absolutely. If you don't mind, I want to throw one more baseball question. I'm admittedly a soccer guy, but I do follow baseball, and from what I know, usually when guys are a infielder, outfielder, position player, they kind of stick with that. And then the people who are pitchers, they can be a starting pitcher, relief pitcher, etc. Tell me how that works with you. How do you mentally go, hey, like this was this, that was that? How do you go back and forth between the two? And obviously before you settled in on one position.
I mean, honestly, it was something that I was always known for, because in college I was a two-way player. I pitched a lot. I was known to throw hard, but I was all over the place, and for like an outfield, I was fast. But there, there's so much that I learned from the outfield that I bring into to pitching right now, which is like reading swings, reading body language. It's not necessarily before it was all about, I always used to think it was how hard I could throw, how nasty my pitches are, when really it was a lot of things that goes into that. Presence on the mound is big. Like as a hitter, I remembered when a pitcher looked like they were losing control or they getting frustrated, it gave me a little bit more confidence throughout that at bat. But when there's a guy out there and you could see they're struggling on the scoreboard, but you can't tell on the mound, you're in there for war. It's going to be a battle. But it's definitely things that I take from as an outfielder, use it into pitching, and honestly, like I still have in my back pocket. The way I train right now is still pretty similar to an outfielder too. It's just a lot more thrown.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's very cool. Awesome. So I have a couple of just fun questions before we end tonight's IG Live. The first one I think you already answered indirectly, but I was going to ask you, who is James Jones' favorite professional team outside of the Texas Rangers? Is it the Giants?
It's the Giants. It's the Giants.
It's the Giants?
Yeah, New York Giants all the way.
So, lifelong Giants fan?
Yeah, lifelong. All the way back when they had like Tiki Barber, Amari Toomer, like all of them. Ike Hilliard.
So you got 2 Super Bowl rings under your belt, huh? That's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Against the great too. You can't beat the GOAT twice. You can't deny that right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that. Actually, I'm looking forward to watching that game tonight, right? That's going to be a good one.
Oh yeah,
when he
that's
goes back
gonna be. I hope he breaks the record or something. They have all his records that's already out there, and I don't even know what's gonna happen. I'm sure this is gonna be really emotional for him too, because it's his first time back. But I was hoping Gronk was there too. I hope Gronk was playing, but he's already out.
Right. Yeah, I think Tom's going to have a little extra motivation tonight, just a hunch.
For sure.
Another question I have for you: if you weren't playing baseball, and it doesn't mean you have to be good at it, what sport would you want to play?
Basketball. Yeah, my wife gets mad at me because sometimes I'm always talking about how many points I would have dropped in the game if I was playing. She's like, "You're not a basketball player." But in my mind, I feel like I'm an NBA basketball player for sure. Starting point guard.
And I'm assuming you have a favorite NBA team.
Yeah, it's the Nets. It's the Brooklyn Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets. There you go.
Yeah.
You guys got a nice squad. That's another team that's going to have a nice year too, huh?
We just gotta stay healthy. That's it. That's the key right now.
Agreed. And then I got one more, and again, this is just my trademark because I'm a big Disney fan. What is your favorite Disney movie?
Favorite Disney movie? I can't go like Toy Story. That's not Disney. That's the Pixar.
Oh no, that counts. That counts.
Oh yeah, it's the Toy Story for sure.
Toy Story.
Hands down, Toy Story. What's yours? I want to hear what yours is.
I'm a Lion King guy.
Ah, okay. Did you like the new one? Did you like the new one?
I really did. I'm not big on like, hey, let's go redo the movie thing, but I thought it was really, really good personally.
Yeah,
I truly did.
For sure. Some of the animals look real on there.
It's crazy. The technology nowadays, I mean, these films are just incredible, and they keep doing stuff that just blows my mind every day.
What's gonna be mind blowing for me is like the kids today that the first Lion King they see is the newer one, and when they see the original one, they're gonna be like, "What's this?"
Exactly. Exactly. Blast from the past, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Well, James, listen, I really appreciate your time. It was awesome talking to you tonight on our IG Live. Again, a reminder to our audience that James works in the app. He is available for lessons. Um, so much knowledge to pass down from a baseball perspective. And again, I just want to thank you for your time. Look forward to talking to you again soon, and I hope you have a great night. Go Giants.
For sure. There you go. Thank you. Have a good night.
I'll see you, man.
I see you.